whenever I hear anything about terrorist attack, I just wait to find out if it's a non-Muslim, and it's just a relief. Sorry, if it's not a Muslim, and I just find it a relief when it's not a Muslim, because otherwise you see it in the papers, and then everyone phoning up and saying Muslims this, Muslims that, and we just kind of fear that any terrorist attack, and it's a relief that when we hear it's not a Muslim.
Yes, and that's like the sort of positive equivalent of people. I had a couple of messages yesterday when the Regent's Park report, the police reported they didn't think it was linked to terrorism. I had a couple of people on Twitter, even after my nuclear level blocking, a couple still creeped through. I had a couple of people on Twitter telling me that I will be gutted that it wasn't an act of far-right terror. So the projection there is complete, isn't it? I don't have what you have, because if it's an act of Islamist terror, no one's going to blame me for it personally, whereas you as a Muslim feel that there will be finger-pointing going on, and that it's like the negative of that worldview would be that everybody who doesn't think all Muslims are terrorists must secretly be hoping that all acts of terror are far right. It's just so weird. I can't even articulate it, but you live it.
I know. It's weird. I mean, I was talking to the person before, and what happens is, do you remember the article about the newspapers covering different footballers of different colours?
Yeah, I do.
And how one's negative. And I think it's this kind of same thing again, where
it's a big white centre half is a unit, and a big black centre half is a beast.
Yes, exactly. And I think it's the media, and I think, how the footballers called for a reform of how they report stories. And until that happens and there's realisation, so more times when there's a Islamic terrorist, you get the negative views the whole time, and it kind of imprints on people's minds, and it kind of forms a narrative and common thinking. But if it was balanced, it perhaps
why would we balance it? I mean, I don't want to get too...
sell papers. I know.
We do all right on this programme, but I sometimes think we only exist as a corrective to the poison and the lies that you describe. So I can't use this as an example. Look, you can get all the big deals. You can get the pay rises and the public appearances and the awards and the book deals by being a nice person. You don't have to just be full of hate. But actually, I think if you were to look at statistics, you'd be a lot better advised to start punting the idea that as a public school educated heterosexual white man you're somehow oppressed and discriminated than you would by pointing out how lucky and privileged you are.
Well, no, exactly. Well, I mean, for me, I don't look at race when I'm about. I try to... Well, I'm usually just happy that I've got a roof over my head and food on the table. I don't try not to worry about, other things. I mean, I'm a practising Muslim and, I pray and everything, but my life is like anyone else's life. I just try to get on and look after my family. But when you see kind of things on here and you get a negative narrative, it's a bit scary.
And you can't fight it because it's not true. Yeah.